While you were sleeping, while you were scrolling through your social media feeds discussing celebrity scandals or the price of eggs, something happened that should have set off air raid sirens in every home. But the sirens are silent, the TV is silent, and this silence is scarier than any scream. Yesterday, the price tag was announced for your life and the price tag for your children's lives. Donald Trump, the man who promised to stop wars, the man who swore to drain the Washington swamp, yesterday with one short post essentially declared war on your wallet and on common sense. He named a number that the human mind struggles to comprehend, a number that turns the economy of a superpower into a casino. $1.5 trillion. This is not just a budget. This is a death sentence for the middle class. This is an attempt to build a military empire on the ruins of your financial stability. And the scariest part is they are calling it a dream. Let's take a breath and try to grasp the scale of this catastrophe. Yesterday, on his Truth Social network, Trump declared that the United States military budget for the year 2027 should be $1.5 trillion. To make you understand the level of insanity, right now America spends about $900 billion. That is already more than the next 10 countries in the world combined. We spend more than China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, the UK, Germany, France. Put them all in a pile, multiply it, and you still won't catch up to the USA. And to this mountain of money, Trump wants to add another $600 billion on top, just like that, in a single year. That is a budget increase of 60%. Imagine you come home and tell your family, starting tomorrow, we are spending twice as much on home security as we spend on food, clothes, the mortgage, and medicine combined. Your family would ask, why? Is someone attacking us? Are bandits breaking down the door? And you answer, no, it's quiet, but I want to buy a gold fence and a machine gun tower because that is my dream. That is exactly what Trump said. Listen to his phrasing. This is not the language of a president. This is the language of a child who got a hold of their parents' unlimited credit card. He writes, this allows us to build the dream military that we have long been entitled to. Dream military, remember that term. It will go down in history books as an example of the greatest cynicism. What dream is he talking about? A general's dream is endless parades. A Lockheed Martin contractor's dream is a new contract for a fighter jet that will never fly but will cost billions. A lobbyist's dream is a villa in the Caribbean. But where is your dream here? The dream of affordable health care, of college for your kids without debt, of roads without potholes. All those dreams were crossed out yesterday by one number, $1.5 trillion. These funds will be extracted from the real economy and turned into scrap metal. But Trump doesn't just name the number. He gives a justification designed to lull your vigilance to sleep. He says it is necessary for safety regardless of foe. This is a key moment of manipulation. Previously, military budgets grew because there was a specific enemy, Hitler, the Soviet Union, Al-Qaeda. Now Trump says there might not even be an enemy. We will spend money just because to have it. So they fear us. This is the philosophy of a gangster who buys a gold gun not to shoot, but to brag to other bandits. But the gun is bought with your money. And here we come to the sweetest part of his lie, the pill in which the poison is wrapped. Trump knows that if he says, I will raise your taxes by 60% for the army, he would be carried out of the White House on pitchforks. So he invented a fairy tale, the fairy tale of magic tariffs. He writes, if it weren't for the tremendous numbers being produced by tariffs from other countries, I would stay at the 1 trillion number. But tariffs are bringing in unthinkable income. He is selling you the illusion that someone else will pay for this banquet, that somewhere out there in distant China or Europe, there are people submissively writing checks to the U.S. Treasury, and that there is so much of this money that we will not only build a Death Star, but pay attention, we will also pay off the national debt and hand out cash to you, dividends to patriots. And sounds beautiful, doesn't it? As if Trump is Robin Hood, robbing rich foreigners and giving money to poor Americans. But coming up, I will show you why Trump is not Robin Hood. He is the sheriff of Nottingham who figured out a clever way to reach into your pocket so that you would say thank you to him. We will dissect the anatomy of this lie. We will look at numbers that will make your hair stand on end, and we will understand why the 1.5 trillion plan is not the defense of America, but the grandest robbery in human history. Do not change the channel. Hard math and the terrible truth are coming up next. We continue. Donald Trump wants you to believe in an economic miracle. He claims that increasing the military budget by $500 billion is free, that it is a gift from the bad guys overseas. Let's rip this abscess of lies open once and for all. What is a tariff? Trump talks about them as fines for other countries. But in reality, a tariff is a tax on imports. Imagine a ship with electronics, clothes, spare parts for your Ford or Chevy arrives at the port of Los Angeles. Customs says pay a 20% tariff. Who pays? The Chinese government? No. Xi Jinping is not sending checks to Washington. The American importing company pays. Walmart, Target, Amazon, Apple, General Motors pay. And what does a company do when its expenses rise by 20%? It doesn't cut executive salaries. It doesn't reduce its profits. It takes the price tag, crosses out the old price, and writes a new one, a higher one. In the end, you pay. The tariff revenue Trump is screaming about is money seized from your family budget. It is a consumption tax. You buy sneakers for your child, you are chipping in for a missile. You buy a new refrigerator, you are paying for a tank tread. Trump is proposing the most massive transfer of wealth from the population to the state, masking it as patriotism. He says, we will pay dividends. But that is mathematically impossible. To collect 1.5 trillion in tariffs, you would need to tax trade so heavily that imports would simply stop. And if imports stop, there are no tariffs. It is a vicious circle. It is a snake eating its own tail. And standing in the center of this circle is you, stunned by the prices at the grocery store. But let's step away from the store shelves and look at history, because without context, the number 1.5 trillion just looks like a lot. In reality, it looks like insanity. Let's go back to 2010, the peak of the war on terror. The U.S. is fighting two hot wars, Iraq and Afghanistan, hundreds of thousands of soldiers overseas, daily combat, logistics, fuel, bombs, payments to veterans. Do you know what the budget was then? In today's money, adjusted for inflation, about $1.1 trillion. We were fighting two wars and spending less than Trump wants to spend in peacetime. Remember the Cold War. Remember Ronald Reagan. Republicans pray to Reagan. He started a massive arms race to bankrupt the USSR. Under Reagan, the military budget doubled over 5 years. Trump is proposing a 60% jump in 1 year. This is not strengthening defense. This is an economic mobilization at the level of World War II. But back then, we had Hitler. Back then, the world was burning. Today, Trump himself says he is the master of the deal, that he will make deals with Putin, with China, with Kim Jong-un. A frightening paradox arises. If you plan to be friends with dictators, why do you need a budget capable of destroying the planet 10 times over? There can be only one answer. This is not preparation for war with an external enemy. This is the creation of a gigantic feeding trough. When a politician utters the phrase dream military, the CEOs of Boeing, Raytheon, and General Dynamics pop the champagne. For them, this is not a dream. For them, this is the jackpot. Trump spent years criticizing the rotten Pentagon, complaining about expensive F-35 planes, about corruption in procurement, and now he proposes flooding this corrupt system with money in a way no lobbyist ever dreamed of. Without an audit, the Pentagon is the only agency that fails audits year after year. Without reforms, just, here is a bag of money, deny yourself nothing. And the final nail in the coffin of common sense is the promise to pay off the national debt. Trump already promised this in 2016. I am the king of debt, I will fix it. The result of his first term? The U.S. national debt grew by $7.8 trillion. And that was before the pandemic. The debt grew when the economy was on the rise. Now he repeats the same mantra. But miracles don't happen. You cannot increase spending by $600 billion a year, cut corporate taxes, which he also plans to do, and pay off debt at the same time. This is elementary school arithmetic. If you spend more than you earn, you are bankrupt. Trump is leading the country toward hyperinflation. When the government pumps trillions of unbacked money into the economy through defense contracts, prices rise on everything. The dividends he promises you will turn into worthless paper before they even hit your account. They will give you $100 in dividends, but a loaf of bread will cost 10. This is not a rescue plan. This is a ruin plan. Coming up, we will talk about why this is a betrayal of the very people in red hats who believed Trump came to protect them from the Washington elites. We will talk about what America will turn into if this plan works. And believe me, you are not going to like that picture. We have reached the most painful moment. I want to address not the economists, not the liberals, but those who voted for Donald Trump, the MAGA movement. Remember 2016. Remember the roar of the crowd at the stadiums. What did Trump say? He said, we were dragged into endless wars. He said, the military-industrial complex profits from blood. He said, we should build roads in Ohio, not borders in Iraq. He positioned himself as an isolationist, as a man who would bring the money home. Workers in the Rust Belt believed him. They thought he would stop this insane conveyor belt of death and invest money in American factories. And what do we see now? Years later, a complete 180-degree turn. Trump has betrayed his main principle. The $1.5 trillion proposal is the biggest gift to the Washington swamp in U.S. history. Neither Bush nor Obama nor Biden dared to propose such enrichment for defense corporations. Trump, who called himself the enemy of the establishment, has now become its best sponsor. Folks, you got scammed. You were fooled by a classic shell game. They showed you the peace and prosperity card, distracted you with scandals, and slipped you the total militarization card. Did you vote against war? Now you will be paying for the preparation for war with the whole world. Did you vote against elites? Now your taxes will go to bonuses for Raytheon executives. Let's look the truth in the eye. What does Trump want to turn America into? Spending 6% of GDP on defense in peacetime changes the essence of the state. We cease to be a country of entrepreneurs, scientists, farmers, and teachers. We turn into a Sparta of the 21st century, into a country where there is an army but no society, where there are hypersonic missiles but collapsing bridges, where there is a dream military but no dream for the average person. $1.5 trillion a year. Do you understand what could be done with that money? You could completely modernize the U.S. energy grid, making electricity dirt cheap. You could solve the homelessness problem once and for all. You could forgive student debt and jumpstart a new generation. You could cure cancer by investing that money in science, not gunpowder. But the choice has been made. The priorities are set. Bombs are more important than people. Tanks are more important than schools. And this is not the general's choice. This is the choice Trump is forcing on you under the sauce of patriotism. But what patriotism is there in making your people poorer just so the Pentagon has more toys? Is there hope? Yes. The president is not a king. He does not have the keys to the Treasury. The keys are with Congress. The power of the purse belongs to the House of Representatives. And right now, even Republicans are in shock. Old fiscal conservatives who know how to count at least a little understand this plan is suicide. But Congress is weak. Congress fears Trump. A congressman fears a tweet that will destroy his career. They will vote for this insanity if they think you want it. So right now, the fate of not just a budget is being decided. The fate of the country for decades is being decided. If we cross the 1.5 trillion line, there will be no turning back. The war machine will gain such inertia that only a total economic collapse will be able to stop it. Usually bloggers end videos with a request, like, comment, subscribe to Patreon. Today I won't do that. To hell with likes. The situation is too serious for standard goodbyes. I want you to do something else. I want you to walk up to the mirror, look at yourself, and ask, am I ready to give up 60% of my future for someone else's sick fantasy? Look at your children and ask, do I want them to live in a barracks country that is drowning in debt and enemies? Don't write me emails with your opinion. I already understand your opinion. Any normal person is against being robbed. Instead of emails, wake up, shake off the numbness, stop treating the news as entertainment. This is not a show. This is your life. And right now they are fitting keys to it. Tell your neighbor about this. Tell your colleague who wears a MAGA hat. Ask him, did you vote for this? Did you vote for a tax on air for the sake of gold tanks? The scariest weapon in the world is not Trump's army for $1.5 trillion. The scariest weapon is your indifference. If you stay silent now, tomorrow you will wake up in a different country, and there will be no one left to blame. Watch their hands. Don't let yourself be fooled, and keep your wallets closed. The greediest hands in history are already reaching for them. Talk to you soon, if we can still talk.